Well, hello again. Pastor Ray Barnett here, and I welcome you to another edition of God's Answers for Anxiety and Depression. As always, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or a good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. Okay, a couple of things here, a couple of observations, which you've already made. First of all, I didn't get a few videos up last week. And then today, well, it's raining. Then it's not raining. Then it's raining. Then it's not raining. And as you can see, it's a pretty raw day. I've got a t-shirt on, I've got a hoodie on, and I've got my leather jacket on. It was pretty raw, unlike the weather we had for months and months with sunshine and nice warm temperatures. I think they're going to come back again this week into the 70s. But right now, well, it's maybe 50 some odd degrees, but it feels more like 30 some odd degrees to me. Then I decided, I said, where can I go to do this video? And finally, I just gave up. And I said, I'm going to do it right in my car. I'm literally sitting in my driveway. My wife has a job. My wife has a lot of jobs. My wife works Monday, Tuesdays at the hospital. She has for a couple of years now. And so she's not home, so her car is not next to me here. My mom is in the house with my dog. So I didn't think being in the house was a good idea. But he's a very affectionate dog, but he weighs about 100 pounds. And anyway, I said, you know what? I got to get this broadcast up for you guys. And as unprepossessing as this location may be, as you watch the traffic go past my home, I did figure that it was better than nothing. Another thing I'm observing as I'm looking into the camera here, I really hope that my eyes are looking at you. Because from my point of view, my eyes, even though they're looking at the camera, they seem like they're focused someplace else. So if that occurs when this is uploaded, I don't know what to say. It's been kind of a hectic few days for me over the last week. And I still solicit your prayers for me that you would just petition the Lord. I need to get my schedule straightened out. It's not, nothing overwhelming, but I just need to get everything in order so I can get my day accomplished and still be able to get these videos up for you. So I'd appreciate your prayers. And a week from this coming Thursday, I get to see another cardiologist down in Albany, who I'm getting a second opinion from for this ongoing heart condition. I've told you before that my family has 100% is the heart disease on my father's side. He had 7 brothers, and all 8 of them, my father included, had open heart surgery. My grandfather died at 38 from heart disease. On my mother's side, my grandfather, mother, grandfather, and my grandmother, and my mother, and my uncle, her brother, they've all had open heart surgery. So you can see heart disease is very prevalent on both sides of my family. I've been pretty blessed. I think I have had open heart surgery, as you know. But I've been pretty blessed. God has kept me. I've lived a clean life and exercise every day. I think I told you, I just got my Bowflex machine, home gym, came in, got it all set up, been toying around with it. Today was my first real workout in 7 months, and so far I'm really happy with it. I think it's going to work out pretty well. Anyway, I've exercised, I've kept my diet. My diet's very strict now. And I trust God. So I solicit your prayers for several things that I'm facing, including time constraints and what have you. Just some of the ordinary stuff that we all face. Okay, I'm still smiling because I really hope that I really hope that I'm looking at you and it doesn't look like I'm looking over your shoulder. I wanted to kind of check in with you and go over again this lesson on insomnia. So many people suffer from not getting a good night's sleep. Some have difficulty falling asleep. Some have difficulty staying asleep once they fall asleep. And I'm hearing this from, it's one thing to hear it from, well, I'll say middle-aged people. You got a lot on your mind. You've got work and children and what have you. But in our time, in the day in which we live, I'm hearing this frequently from younger people. People ordinarily, maybe, a few decades back, you would not hear these type of stories. I can, on occasion, just meet somebody, a young person, in their 30s, let's say, 20s as well, and just introduce myself and put out my hand and, say hi. And you feel the perspiration on their palms, which, once again, unless you have a predisposition towards anxiety, that wasn't the case for many years. At least I don't remember it, and I would remember it. So it wasn't the case, but now we're seeing more and more younger people, as well as older people and people in general, having these issues with anxiety and depression, which is our topic here, as you know. And then along with that is insomnia, either the inability to fall asleep or the inability to stay asleep once you're asleep. And that's what I want to talk to you about now, because insomnia is actually, I think I've already told you this last week, insomnia is absolutely a part of anxiety and depression. For some, and it may be you say, no, not so much. My mind, was very busy. And again, I'm hearing young people in their late 20s and 30s talking about they can't shut their brain off. I mean, they're young. And we don't ordinarily expect people so young to have so much on their mind. But the times in which we live and the situations that we have in the world, both personal as well as, globally, nationally, is affecting people of all ages. So let me remind you of some of the principle that I've used, and with all that I face in ministry, or either as husband, then of course my mom has been with us for over a year now in our home. We will try to eventually get her set up in her own place right here where we live in Amsterdam. But so I function as a son. I still function as a son. I function as a husband. I function as a father. I function as a pastor, and it could be quite a lot. Yet I'm able to sleep at night. And I told you already, I wasn't always able to do this. Just like you, things would keep me up at night. At times I couldn't shut my mind off and my brain off because it was just rushing and so many thoughts going through it that I would be just like you are, just unable to fall asleep and or stay asleep once I dozed off. So, there's many ways that we could approach this subject, but the one that I believe works the best, which is, one of those things where without discipline, and if you give up on it, well, then you're going to have to be on sleeping medications, which most physicians won't keep you on sleeping medications too long. They can become addictive. And even if not addictive in the physiological sense, they become addictive in the psychological sense. So, let's go through how to put yourself asleep. Doesn't matter how much is on your mind. Doesn't matter what you're facing. Obviously, some situations are much more traumatic and dramatic than others. But in those cases, sometimes, there's not much you could do. Your body is responding to the stress. But even if, with all your efforts, there's still a restless night's sleep, that won't last forever. In other words, some type of incident, a death, some type of trauma. Your body is just going to naturally respond to it no matter what you do, but you still need to practice these techniques. But for most of you, it's just the general stuff. And this works excellently. But remember, it takes discipline. So, what I have practiced for many years now is okay, it's time for bed. I'm smiling again because I'm in my driveway here. Since high school, I've had the habit of taking a nap every afternoon. So I'm looking at my front door. It's right in front of me here. And I'm saying to myself, as soon as I finish this broadcast, I'm going to have my afternoon nap. I'm looking forward to it too. And I'll use the same technique for an afternoon nap as I will this evening, and I do it every evening to get my rest in sleep. So I lay in the bed, and it's, I don't know, I try to get in. I'm always in bed by 9. That's not my sleep time, but that's the end of my day, and I just get myself comfortable in the bed. Usually that's when I'll watch a little television, mostly an old movie. I used to read, and especially read the Bible, but it would stimulate me. I'm not sure it would have the same effect now, but when I was younger, because my mind is always so active, it's always been active, reading would stimulate me. If that works for you, that's fine. I wouldn't recommend if you have narcoleptic tendencies when it comes to reading the Bible. That's not what you want to do. Read something else. These things are good. I mean, that's fine. By 9 o'clock, most of my life when I'm not, most of my life has been spent praying and reading the Bible, books, theology. I read a lot of books on a lot of subjects. Been doing that all my life. And thankfully, I have an exercise routine. I work out on an average, usually like 2 hours per day. And of course, the last 7 months has been, not that, been a joke. But anyway, so I get the physical part in, and I get a lot of mental work. Most of my life most of my work is all here in the head. And if any of you do that, or if any of you have done that, you will know that mental work is much more taxing than physical work. Now you say, well, how would you know? You're a pastor. Yeah, but I wasn't a full-time pastor. Been in ministry going on my 44th year. But I wasn't a full-time pastor until I was 29 years old. I delivered mail. I was an x-ray technician. I worked construction. And, a lot of physical jobs. For instance, when I was a mailman, I was a letter carrier for a few years, and I was in ministry. I had to support myself by working and support my family by having a full-time job. I could walk. Some of those routes were 9 miles long. one particular route was 9 miles and hills, steep hills. When I came home, I've always had a good appetite. I still have a good appetite. But I would be hungry and I would be tired. And then again, whatever time it was, 10 p.m. or whatever it was back then, 10:30. When I hit the mattress, boom, I was out. I didn't begin to have insomnia until I went into ministry. That's the truth. So 29 years old, let's round it off to 30. First few months I'm in the ministry, and all of a sudden I can't sleep. Slept soundly all my life. I'll round it off again to 30 years old. Until I was 30. When you have all this mental activity going on, even if you don't do, work as I do, where it's mainly in the mind and the spirit and soul, the brain's working all the time, then you won't know. And I do know the difference between hard physical labor, and especially that I work out very hard in the gym, doing strength training, and then some conditioning. I know the difference between being physically tired and mentally tired. I'm telling you now, mentally tired is not even to be compared to physical tired. In other words, physical tired means you're tired from physical activity. It's a good feeling. When you're tired from mental activity, it can spawn depression and or anxiety. So that's our subject. Okay, so for me, it's 9 o'clock, and I'm just settling down to watch something that I consider to be neutral. And I don't want too much stimulation at the end of a day, and I think that that's good advice for you as well. Try not to do anything that's too mentally stimulating. This is the time where you want to wind down at the end of the day. Now, you have anxiety. You have anxiety disorder, and you have depression. So it's going to be a bit difficult, right? A bit more difficult than the average person. Still, something I have never mentioned, and it's coming to me now. It's very, very good for you to have a set schedule. You don't have to run your life the way I run mine. I told my wife the other day when we were talking, I am very surprised that the people at Greenwich, England, don't set the atomic clock by my schedule. They don't call me up and say, what time, what are you doing right now? Well, I'm eating breakfast, okay. And they can set the atomic clock by my schedule. I prefer routine. Some people don't. But routine is very, very good when you have anxiety and you have depression. Your body, as I've talked to you so much about habits, your body will start to build up habits. Oddly enough, because my dog is with me so much, he knows exactly, this is amazing too, he knows exactly what to do at what time of day. In other words, if we're walking through the front door and it's early morning when I first take him out, he knows right away to go into the garage. Right, that's why I go get my coffee, and if it's raining, he can get his feet dried off in there, and then we go upstairs. Yet, if it's nighttime, come through the exact same door, he knows to bolt up the stairs, and we go to the bedroom. And even if I leave the bedroom a couple of times to, do whatever, the last time, it was getting closer to 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, he'll know, or he's developed his own habit of just staying inside. I have his kennel in there, his indoor kennel. He'll just go in there and just lay down. He knows that this is the end of the day. It's amazing. But even more so for you to build up habits, to have your body to be in habit. And that's what I'm aiming at with this technique for insomnia, sleeplessness, restlessness during your sleep. Your brain is going all night long. I know that you know what I'm talking about. And so this will ameliorate that issue. It may not take it away altogether, but as the body and the brain build up habits, you'll find that your body will start to naturally have a tendency to say, just pick a time. It's 10 o'clock, and you'll see that, you understand this circadian rhythm of the body. If you don't, just look it up. The body has a natural rhythm to it. And many things can upset it. But if you go on to a routine, it falls into a habit. Your body is responding at a certain time of day, if you're habitual, as I am, to do what you usually do at that time of day. So with insomnia, sleeplessness, restlessness during sleep, not being able to shut your brain off, this technique works really, really well. Just be mindful that it takes discipline, it takes time, but if you stick with it, promise you, it'll work really, really well. You just got to stick with it. Okay, so simple technique. You get into bed. If you do as I do, I get into the bed it's almost like a warm-up before exercise, except this is a warm-up to fall asleep. And I just set myself into a relaxed mood, put on an old movie, classic movie, and sometimes I'm not even interested in the movie as much as I'm just trying to relax my brain. All right, so now it's time for lights out, whatever time that is for you. Here's where the discipline comes in. So you're restless, it's tough, the anxiety's been on you a lot lately, a lot on your mind, problems, you want to solve them and so on. Once you go to bed, once it's lights out, and you set yourself in the position, I told you I give myself 5 minutes, exactly 5 minutes to decide, am I going to lay on my left side? Am I going to lay on my right side? I like to sleep kind of oblique on not flat on my stomach, but not on my back. I don't sleep on my back. Okay, so tonight it's going to be right side. I'm going to sleep on my right side. Once the 5 minutes is up, that decision is made. I cannot change my mind. I will not let myself change my mind. I've picked the right side. I've picked this position, which again for me is an oblique position when I sleep. And then not one single muscle is permitted to move. Now, again, I told you this last week. If you're tense, the body is going to respond by producing more tension because it wants to move. The shaking of the leg or the tapping of the hands or anything else. The body is trying to sublimate all that nervous energy. The way to combat that, and particularly with insomnia, is to forbid it to move. So once you do that, the tension will actually increase. You will feel at times that you're actually being tormented, right? And I've used that word a lot because it's an apt word to describe what you're going through, at least some of you are going through. You feel like you're being tormented. But trust me, if you just deal with the discomfort and allow the discomfort to just do what it's doing, just don't pay much attention to it, it'll eventually start to go the other way, meaning it'll start to diminish. Even if it doesn't completely disappear, it will definitely start to diminish. And so you put your body in the position that you're going to sleep in. You make that decision. And once you do, you discipline and command those muscles, every muscle in your body, that they cannot move. They must not move. Now, you do this long enough, you will fall asleep. You say, oh, I woke up though, Pastor Ray. You told me to do this and I woke up. Yeah, but keep doing it. You wake up, same exercise all over again. Pick a side, stop tossing and turning. Stay there. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. And the body will start to respond by going down the other way into a state of relaxation. Do this long enough. Do this every night. And you can, if you take naps the way I do, and I also take what I call mini vacations during the day, meaning if I have some spare time, or I find some spare time, little gaps in my schedule, I just take a couple minutes to relax. Do some deep breathing, meditation on scripture, maybe even some prayer, and take advantage of slowing the pace down, all of which will help you. You'll find if you practice this technique, you're going to be able to put yourself to sleep at will by simply commanding the muscles, stop moving, I'm going to sleep. And muscles will respond to a command I got to phrase it this way. It may sound strange. When the muscles know you mean business, don't move. Muscles will respond. They respond to an act of the will. Unlike organs, which, literally speaking, have a mind of their own. The muscles, which do have muscle memory and all of that we talked about, the muscles will respond if you give it a firm command. Don't move. Tension will start to rise, then it'll go down the other way, and you'll be on your way to going to sleep for that night. And practice it every night, every night until you master this. You'll never have a problem with insomnia again. The exception being is when you have one of those, God forbid, very traumatic situations that, of course, I deal with frequently in ministry from other people. I've had them in my own life too, where it's just like it's thrown on you and you can't help. The body can't help but to respond. But ordinarily, in the ordinary course of events, this will work very, very well for you if you practice it. All right? So keep me in prayer. I'm going to pray for you now. And I'm going to ask God to give you deliverance as well as a great night's rest tonight. So let me pray. Father, I do pray for my friends, and I do ask you once again, deliver them from their oppressions and their depressions and their anxieties and all the things that trouble them. God, just bring them the freedom that you promised to bring them. I just pray that today, God, in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Well, all right. I hope to be here tomorrow, God willing, and the creek don't rise. I will be here with you tomorrow. Remember, if you want to be with me for these lessons, to subscribe to the channel and also to hit the notification button. It should be obvious to those of you who do watch every day. It's obvious why you should hit the notification button, keep it on, because if you don't get a notice in your email or however you get your messages, you'll know that I didn't get a video out that day. But most days, you know that I have been very, very consistent. I do plan on being consistent in the future as well. Just got to figure some things out with the weather changing, especially. All right, so thanks for being with me here today in my car, in my driveway. And with God's favor, we together are going to work through your anxieties and depressions and so on and get the final victory in Jesus' mighty name. Okay, thanks for being with me. I'll see you again tomorrow, God willing.